Please, oh, we don't have that. Okay, cool. I call the meeting to order. First agenda item is, well, actually, second agenda item is public commentary. Does anybody like to get up and make a comment about anything? CRA? Yes, sir, we're on the CRA. Yes, sir. Please remember, Mr. Walker, we're sticking to the 3-minute time limit, so. As usual. Yes, sir. No offense, it's just we're going to do that for everybody. No rules. Yes, sir.
As normal, this is as a citizen's commentary at CRA. I'm looking in through and getting questions about it to me to get an understanding of where the CRA advisory is. We are only an advisory board. We don't vote. We don't say anything. We get comments. We're allowed to put into the not the budget, but in ideas for the plans. We're allowed to do that. We rank the plans. Most of the times that we do mention something, it's shot down anyway, so we don't get it. But what I wanted to make sure and notice to you people is your budget. We had $1 million in the kitty for this thing. It took us 10 years to get that. And I've said this before. 10 years to get there. We were going to live off the interest and everything with our plans and everything and go ahead and live within our means. Doesn't seem to be working out that way. We're down to almost $80,000 for next year left in the budget for expenses. What we were looking for was the fuel depot when it came in. We spent a lot of money gearing up to get the fuel depot into the CRA. With that, we were going to extend our CRA. That has fallen through. We have gotten almost nothing from the fuel depot, okay? Basically, we had $100,000 invested in legal fees and everything like that. We did get that back. There's some question right now about the property. What's going to happen? The rails to trails. We don't know. My point is this. The budget, if you see next year, if we go ahead with this and keep going, we're going to be broke. I know we don't want to go into a bond. We don't. The review of the CRAs over the last 50 years has been negative. There's a lot of them in debt, a lot of them closing down. Do we want to keep ours? Do we want to scale it down? Do we want to be careful? Talking with Ben, try and bring it down to some reality. So take a look at some of your plans here that you have. For example, the storefront exemption, that's an expensive thing. You and I, we've all looked at this thing. We've got to re-look at that. We've got to really re-look at these plans, scale them down to realistic so that we can afford them in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment, sir. Anybody else have a comment during the public commentary? Nope. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 3, approval of the meeting minutes from September the 8th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Russell?
Yes. Motion carries. Agenda item number 4, discussion and possible action to adopt the final CRA budget for the fiscal year 2020-2021. Mr. Janke, would you please hop up and give us a report? First question, the final budget that we're looking at now, is this the same budget that we were presented at the workshop?
Yes, that is
So there's
correct.
been no changes?
No changes.
Okay, thank you, sir. You got anything else you'd like to offer?
Yes, this is basically second presentation to the CRA board to approve the final adopted budget for the next fiscal year. I do want to point out a few items just to bring this to the board's attention. Commissioner Tinder asked a question at the last meeting about professional services and the $10,000. And I'd like to add to this that this is actually a carryover item from this current fiscal year. Right now we have a contract with Panhandle Engineering to do some electrical engineering work for us on Florida Avenue. That's a $20,000 project or assignment, and that project will not be done by the end of September. Therefore, we have to carry over $10,000 into the next fiscal year, and that is the money that you're seeing here in the new budget. Then another item that I would like to bring to your attention is on the revenue side, the Bay County Commission approved yesterday evening to keep their millage rate at 4.6362 mil. The budget that we prepared was based on the millage rate that they had proposed in their trim notice, which was at 5.6362 mil. So long story short, we will more than likely get less money from the county during this upcoming fiscal year. And therefore we would have to make an adjustment mid-year on our revenue side. And then obviously also on our expenditure side to reflect that.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Jenke? I would like to note that the budget finance director Kiki brought it to my attention about this budget change. So I would like the commission to know that she's estimating that number to be $41,046.62 in the deficit as far as the revenues. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. So, I mean, it will obviously require a mid-year budget change if you don't change the budget at this time. So, any commission open for discussion?
Yes, I wanted to bring up something. I wanted to, before we voted on the CRA or the regular budget, I wanted to talk to the commission and see how you felt about possibly scaling back just a little bit on all the departments and creating some sort of pot, fund, whatever you want to do, earmark, in lieu of the recent flooding and all of that. If we tightened our belts in every department and put this money into ditches and pipes and all the things, the infrastructure that we need to work on, I just wanted to see how the three of you felt. Is it something that makes sense to you, or do you think we'll be doing anything about it this year?
Commissioner Tender, yeah, I'll speak to it. I don't think it's a bad idea at all to try to look at stormwater issues. I don't know that taking money out of departments, though, when we really need to beef up some of these departments to try to help alleviate some of these issues, which is kind of between the rock and the hard place where we are, because you can't get the job done without the staff, but you got to spend the money on the staff, and you can't spend that money somewhere else on the job. So it's a catch-22. But I do also want to encourage you and everybody else that's listening that we do have funds and HMGP and these other type funds that are going to be coming through that will help assist us in paying for a lot of the stormwater issues. So yes, we do anticipate starting this year on working on some of this stuff and fixing some of these things once this money gets approved through the county.
Okay, so, through the county. So we're not talking our budget getting approved. We're talking about other funds coming from somewhere else.
Yes.
That will hopefully help us fix this problem.
That is
Yes, ma'am,
correct.
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yep, I think there's $30 million in the coffer, and then they're going to split that up. They're talking loosely about doing it, I think, on population. So, we're the second largest municipality in the county, so we would get a good share, I think, of the amount.
I'd like to offer up the thought, too, of having some sort of, I hate to use the word workshop, call it a roundtable, something like that, where people that are involved in the department, people who dig the ditches, put the pipes down, have anything to do with the problem that we're having, sit around one whole afternoon if we have to. I'd just like to see if there are any solutions in sight. I talk to different people and they say, oh yeah, we're going to possibly do this and possibly do that, but I'd like to see a plan. And I think the only way we're ever going to create it is in unity with everybody together.
If you don't mind, let's remember we're actually in a CRA meeting.
Yeah.
That would be a commission discussion. Stormwater
Okay.
would be. So
Okay.
let's try to get back on track with a CRA discussion. If you
Okay.
Is any, no questions for the, okay. So I'm at the leisure of the commission, what the commission wants to do. Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem, I think the resolution number was left off of this particular item, and so I will go on and read this
Yes, ma'am.
resolution for you.
yes, ma'am, please.
Resolution number 2020-0902, a resolution adopting a final budget for the Lynn Haven Community Redevelopment Agency for the fiscal year 2020-2021 and appropriating for the purposes specified redevelopment trust fund in amount specified for disbursements according to the said budget for the fiscal year 2020-2021.
So the commission have anything they would like to proceed or not?
I move to approve the budget.
Do we have a motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion with the commission?
I did want to ask Mr.
Yes, sir.
Walker or Ben, either one, if you would. I know you were talking about the shortfall, and we'll have 80,000. What are some ideas? I know you guys have tossed some things around. What are some ideas that you guys have had that you've talked about, where we weren't involved, maybe to help that situation?
While he's coming up, I will tell you that Ben talked to me a little early about it, and one of the things he's talking about is postponing the pocket park at 15th in Michigan?
50,000.
Yeah.
15th in Michigan, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he is aware of it, and I'm assuming going to adjust it, so. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Ben.
So I think you can just make some adjustments to your planning strategy, if you will. Maybe postpone some of the projects that you have identified, but then also reach out and find some alternative funding sources, maybe to put increase an emphasis on some grant money, for example,
Sure.
that requires some, a certain match. So that might be a possibility. However, I've learned over the years there's no such thing as a free meal. Even though you'll get some grant money, there's a lot of work involved in this. So I kind of have to be mindful with my time, how I spend my time, and what kind of projects I'm focusing on when I'm working on CRA projects.
One of the things that I mentioned to Ben at the last commission meeting, another option that we could look at is on the 15th Street and Michigan Pocket Park, maybe doing some kind of combined effort between stormwater and the CRA. That's a low area, and maybe putting a retention pond in, to help the water flow, and then doing some kind of, walking park around the stormwater. So it'd be, and that would reduce the cost for the CRA, by some of that money too. So just one of the options that I'd suggested to him, so.
Kind of co-op with other departments.
Exactly,
That works.
exactly.
I do want to point out that we spent money in previous years on some fairly big projects. For example, the renovation of Sheffield Park, building the stage here at Sheffield Park. That was a lot of money. That was something very unusual, really. For several years prior to that, I've been implementing projects on a much smaller scale and even making a positive impact here in our community.
Any more questions for Mr. Jenke? Okay. So the commission have any more questions, or any more questions or discussion? Any discussion
Yeah.
with the public? Oh, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to ask, because I was just reading this, can you tell me what the beautification of grocery outlet row is? I'm dying to know.
We had this conversation at one of our CRA advisory board meetings, and we noticed that the 9th Street corridor between 77 and Florida Avenue could be improved, let's put it that way. There's a lot of asphalt, a lot of concrete, not a lot of green space. However, the consensus was that the CRA director should reach out to the property owner or the owner of grocery outlet to find a way how to make this corridor a little bit more attractive. Maybe add a sidewalk to that corridor, a little bit of some grassed area or some landscaping, or really on a small scale, but just to improve the look, because that's the first impression you get when you make that turn from 77 to go to Roberts Hall, and Florida Avenue.
Well, I will say this by firsthand experience. When you turn to the left to go into grocery outlet on that alley, or you turn to the right to go down the alley the other way, you will hit your trailer hitch every single time because that road needs to be repaired right
Oh,
there.
yeah, it's a drop off.
It goes like this and up, and you drag every single time. So if
You
we
can
were
see it
going to
on the
put any
asphalt.
money into it, I'd love to see us do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any discussion with the commission or public? Yes, sir, Mr. Walker?
I was going to bring that subject up. Most people are confused when they look at that, and we had discussed it. And what we didn't know
If
was...
Mr. Walker, if you would come on up to the mic, so, that-
Yeah,
thank you,
we
sir.
had discussed it in the advisory board, and Ben had brought it up. But what they didn't know is we own that alley. And that's directly in front of the grocery outlet. That's ours. And Ben has to walk, and we have to walk a delicate scale here, because correcting exactly what Ms. Tinder is talking about is within our perusal. We should be doing that. However, what do we get out of it? We're right in front of his store. Are we going to go say, you can't park your cars there? You know, exactly. So that was our discussion, and I'm glad you, Ms. Tinder, brought that up, because we were discussing it also.
Thank you, sir. Any other public commentary? Hearing none, city manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
I have to say no.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Motion approved. Moving to item number 5, adjournment. Thank you all for coming. See you in a couple of minutes at the budget workshop.